Sarina Wiegman, she's gone and done it. She has named her 23 women's squad heading to the World Cup down under in Australia and New Zealand this coming July. And it is an absolute belter of a squad. Of course, we didn't have any doubts about that. Okay, yes, you're missing Beth Mead. Yes, there are a couple of omissions I'm a little bit surprised about and a couple of changes that I would have made. But who am I and what do I know when it comes to the England international team? Actually, quite a lot. Firstly, I just want to say no Beth Mead. We kind of hoped and prayed that possibly there would be a miracle. Beth Mead hadn't ruled herself out despite her ACL injury. Of course, we know she's back training. She's on the pitch. She's doing her absolute best, but Sarina Wiegman does not see her in her plans for the World Cup squad. Commiserations to Beth Mead. Keep doing you, gal friend. You are incredible. Also, no Steph Houghton. She has not been recalled to the squad. A few journalists had been speaking that perhaps Sarina Wiegman would rely on that experience that she brought to the squad. Of course, you've got no Jill Scott. Of course, you've got no Ellen White. Of course, you've got no Beth Mead. Perhaps we bring in somebody who has led the way at major tournaments for England just to bring in that experience, that know-how, that different energy, that maturity. And I actually thought that would have been a good move for Sarina Wiegman, considering you are missing Leah Williamson, of course, your captain, and your key person at the back as well. And Steph Houghton's returned to injury. She's been good for Manchester City. She's put in a couple of goals as well. So not to be this time as well. And also, speaking of defence, no Maya Tissier. What? How? I mean, what an outstanding season she's had. She's not missed any games. She's always available. She's an outstanding young talent. I definitely think I would have Maya Tissier in there. And maybe there's one or two players that you would have switched out, but we all know things can change at this stage. Anything can happen. And I hope that Maya Tissier finds her way there to the World Cup. I think she absolutely deserves that call-up. No Nikita Parris either, which is a shame. Looking at the stats as well, she has had an okay season. She didn't start an awful lot. Then towards the end of the season for Mark Skinner, she started to appear more for Manchester United. 4 goals and 1 assist. But of course, you have Katie Robinson on that right-hand side as well. So usually it would be Beth Mead, then Nikita Parris. Katie Robinson has proven herself in an England shirt. She puts in the assist, that's for sure. Looking at her stats this season, 4 goals and 6 assists for Brighton. And I know Brighton, as we all know, have struggled this season. I think Katie Robinson's the reason and a huge contributor as to why Brighton stayed up this season. And Sarina Wiegman likes her energy. We can see that she can have that impact coming in from the right and left. So very, very pleased to see Katie Robinson back in the side. Jordan Nobbs. I wondered about this one. I wondered about Jordan and I wondered about Laura Coombs. Both have been getting that kind of opportunity to come in at the last camps and come in for those last games, but haven't seen an awful lot of game time from Jordan Nobbs under Sarina Wiegman. But her season since going to Aston Villa, she's contributed to where Aston Villa finished this season. She's put in 4 goals as well. And again, she brings that experience to that England side that not many of them have had before. You've got to remember, Jordan Nobbs has been around for a heck of a long time. She's 30 years old now. I think will be turning 31 this year. And she, again, brings that experience, the know-how of being in these environments, in these awkward times or difficult times, or how to kind of pull it back, and she has that experience around the squad as well, especially with the younger players. So fair play to Jordan Nobbs getting back in to the squad. Laura Coombs, I didn't really have doubts about that. I felt like she was definitely somebody Sarina Wiegman had been keeping an eye on, and of course she's had a good season for Manchester City as well, kind of solidified her place in that team. Let's look as well at who else we can focus on. In goal, we've got Mary Earps, Hannah Hampton, Ellie Roebuck. In defence, you've got Millie Bright, Lucy Bronze, Jess Carter, Niamh Charles, Alex Greenwood, Esme Morgan into the squad as well. She'll be pleased with that World Cup place, and Lotta Wubben-Moy. Midfielders, Laura Coombs, Jordan Nobbs, Georgia Stanway, Ella Toon, Kira Walsh and Katie Zellum. And the forwards are not to be messed with. Rachel Daly, Beth England, Lauren Help, Lauren James, Chloe Kelly, Katie Robinson and Alessia Russo. You look at the goals that these players have put in, that number 9 position for Rachel Daly, for Beth England, you know that they're going to be able to step up and deliver on the World Cup stage. I mean, you've got to think back to the Euros last time around. Rachel Daly playing left back, of course, now all season in the WSL. She's been putting in the goals for fun for Aston Villa. She's won the Golden Boot, 22 games, 22 goals and 2 assists, also 2 goals in the Cup for Rachel Daly. She looks like she will be leading the line for the Lionesses at the World Cup. What an incredible player, what an incredible achievement for Rachel Daly. I don't think any of us can really argue it. Brilliant to see Beth England up there. Of course, she's a magnificent, I'd say, second choice, number 9 for Serena Wiegman. But she got that opportunity this season. Since leaving Chelsea, she saved Spurs' skin. She's had 12 games. She's had 12 goals. She's had 1 assist in the WSL. And an incredible achievement for Beth England. And so good again to see a player of that experience and that calibre get another shot at another big club and just see it through and now find herself in that World Cup squad. I am really, really pleased to see that. So Beth England and Daly up front. I mean, you're licking your lips, aren't you? It looks good for England. Russo, of course, 10 goals, 1 assist as well this season for Manchester United. But yeah, I mean, it looks possible for England going to this World Cup that they absolutely get out the group and they could go all the way to a semi-final once more. One thing I do think is maybe that leadership, that experience. I've heard before that Jill Scott and Ellen White really brought that calming environment during the Euros. You know, they had that leadership quality, they had that all in abundance, and maybe without that, when you've got so many youngsters coming in, so many young bright talent, but they don't carry that experience in the major stage, that perhaps it maybe could affect them. You know, you have to really consider that, especially on this big stage. Lotte Wubben-Moy, I do think when I've watched Lotte this season, I do think she starts a lot because of the injuries that maybe of Arsenal have had. Rafa Souza, of course, she covered Rafael Souza at the start of the season, and then with Leah Williamson getting her injury, Lotte Wubben-Moy comes back into the fold to play alongside Rafa. So she is there and thereabouts always for Arsenal, but I do think that sometimes defensively it can be, there's moments of madness in there for Lotte Wubben-Moy, and I don't know how you can kind of get away from that, you know, and I don't want to be cruel about it whatsoever, but I do think Mela Tissier is a bit more of a solid defender to have in there. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments. Of course, it all kicks off on the 20th of July and it's Brisbane for England's open game, the 22nd of July. I'm going to be there, cannot wait, against Haiti, and then they've got Denmark, and then they've got China. They get out of that group and goodness knows what can happen next, because I haven't actually looked at the road for England for if they come out of the group. Of course, we know they will. I'm going to be following Ireland, but looking at Serena Wiegman's squad, it is very, very strong, despite being without Beth Mead, despite being without Leah Williamson. It looks like this side could go all the way to the World Cup, and you never know, they may bloomin' well win the thing, especially with Rachel Daly up front.